Right now, someone is weaponizing your words against you. They're sitting across a table, in a boardroom, or in a quiet corner, assembling your downfall piece by piece. And the most dangerous part, you handed them every piece yourself. That casual comment you made 3 months ago. It's now Exhibit A in their case against you. That moment of honesty you thought was building trust? It's become the leverage they needed. That joke you made to lighten the mood? It's being replayed in a context that makes you look guilty. Your words don't disappear. They echo in rooms you'll never enter, shaping opinions about you among people you'll never meet, determining outcomes that will affect your entire life. This isn't paranoia. This is reality. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you can protect yourself. Niccolò Machiavelli spent his life observing how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. He watched empires rise and fall. He saw leaders destroy themselves. And he discovered one universal truth: those who control their words control their fate. Those who don't become casualties of their own voice. In the next 40 minutes, you're going to discover 10 psychological situations where your mouth becomes your executioner. These aren't theoretical scenarios. They're happening around you right now. The only question is whether you'll recognize them before you become their next victim. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments: I speak only to win. Situation 1. The Rage Revelation. Anger is the most effective truth serum ever created. When fury hijacks your brain, something catastrophic happens to your judgment. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought and self-control, effectively goes offline. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your emotional center, takes complete control. In this state, you become an open book written in the language of your deepest vulnerabilities. Every resentment you've carefully hidden for years comes pouring out. Every grievance you've diplomatically suppressed suddenly demands to be heard. Every dark thought you've kept locked away breaks free. You become a confession machine, and your anger is the operator pushing all the buttons. But here's what you don't realize in that moment of righteous fury. The person who triggered your anger isn't your enemy right now. They're your interrogator. And you're voluntarily answering questions they never even had to ask. Professional manipulators understand this perfectly. They know how to push specific buttons to make you explode. They'll say something inflammatory, question your competence, or attack something you hold sacred. Not because they believe it, but because they want to see what comes out of your mouth when your defenses are down. Your rage makes you predictable. Once someone maps your anger triggers, they own a remote control to your behavior. They can make you explode in meetings to undermine your credibility. They can trigger outbursts that get you fired. They can manipulate you into saying things that destroy your relationships. And the most devastating part? Your anger doesn't just affect the moment. It creates a permanent record. That colleague who witnessed your outburst will remember it during your next performance review. That friend who heard your rage-filled rant will never quite trust you the same way again. That recording someone made of your angry tirade will resurface at the worst possible moment. You might feel justified in your anger. You might believe your fury is righteous. But justified or not, every word you speak in rage becomes ammunition for your enemies. Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." And command begins with commanding yourself. If you can't control your own mouth when anger strikes, you'll never control anything else that matters in your life. The powerful feel anger just as intensely as everyone else. The difference is they never show it. They process their fury in private. They think through their response. They wait until they can speak strategically rather than emotionally. They understand that today's emotional explosion becomes tomorrow's weapon in someone else's hands. Your rage isn't strength. It's weakness wearing a convincing mask. Real power is feeling the anger, acknowledging it, and choosing silence until you can respond in a way that serves your interests instead of destroying them. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My anger serves me. Situation 2. The Victory Parade. Success is more intoxicating than any drug. When you win, your brain floods with dopamine. Your ego expands. And suddenly, you're overcome with an irresistible need to explain your brilliance to anyone who will listen. You want applause for your strategy. You crave recognition for your effort. You need the world to know just how clever you've been. This need feels natural, even deserved. After all, you did the work. Why shouldn't you get the credit? But this hunger for recognition is a trap that has destroyed more successful people than failure ever could. Every time you explain your success, you're writing a manual for your competitors. Every revelation of your strategy is a roadmap showing others exactly how to follow your path, or how to block it. Every detail you share about your methods becomes a blueprint for your replacement. Think about it. When you won that promotion, did you tell everyone about the specific skills you developed? You just trained your replacement. When you landed that major client, did you explain your entire sales strategy? You just armed your competition. When you closed that deal, did you reveal your negotiation tactics? You just gave away your edge. Your competitors aren't sitting there celebrating your success. They're taking notes. They're not impressed by your achievements. They're reverse engineering them. They're not your audience. They're your future opposition, now armed with intelligence you voluntarily provided. The business world is filled with cautionary tales of companies that explained their success, only to watch competitors copy their model and undercut their prices. The professional landscape is littered with careers destroyed because someone shared their secrets with the wrong person. There's a reason successful companies guard their methods with non-disclosure agreements and non-compete clauses. There's a reason military strategists never reveal their tactics until long after the war is over. There's a reason chess masters don't explain their strategies until they retire. Success creates influence, but explanation destroys mystery. And mystery is essential to maintaining power. Machiavelli observed, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests." Sharing your success story might feel like keeping faith with those who supported you. But it's absolutely against your interests to educate your enemies. Your loyalty should be to your future victories, not to satisfying other people's curiosity about your past ones. True masters celebrate internally. They feel the satisfaction of their achievements privately. They share credit generously but never reveal methodology completely. They understand that mystery maintains power while explanation destroys it. When asked about their success, the truly strategic respond with vague generalities: hard work, good timing, great team, lucky break. They deflect attention, minimize their own role, and never, ever reveal the specific tactics that made the difference. They know that today's explanation becomes tomorrow's competition. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Victory speaks silently. Situation 3. The liquid confession. Alcohol doesn't create new thoughts. It destroys the barriers that keep dangerous thoughts hidden. Every drink is a key turning in the lock of your mental security system. Every glass lowers another defense. Every bottle transforms you from a protected fortress into an open house where anyone can walk in and take whatever they want. The most valuable secrets in history weren't extracted through torture or elaborate interrogation techniques. They were casually revealed over wine, beer, and cocktails by people who thought they were just having a good time. Professional intelligence operatives understand this perfectly. The CIA teaches that social drinking is one of the most effective intelligence-gathering techniques. Create a comfortable environment, keep the target's glass full, ask seemingly innocent questions, and wait. The information will flow. While you're feeling that warm buzz of connection and camaraderie, you're actually experiencing the systematic dismantling of your judgment. That person who keeps buying rounds isn't being generous. They're being strategic. They remember everything while you forget everything. Your drunk confession about relationship problems? Someone just learned exactly how to destabilize your home life. Your late-night admission about work struggles? A colleague just discovered you're vulnerable and can be replaced. You're intoxicated boasting about bending rules? You just created evidence that can be used to destroy your career. And in our modern world, it's even more dangerous. Everyone has a recording device in their pocket. That drunken rant you made at the bar? It's on someone's phone. That inappropriate joke you told at the party? It's been sent to 12 people. That confession you made thinking you were among friends? It's being transcribed into text right now. The legal system is filled with cases where drunken statements became courtroom evidence. Divorce proceedings regularly feature recordings of alcohol-fueled admissions. Criminal cases are built on confessions made while intoxicated. Job terminations are justified by behavior at company parties. You might wake up the next morning with nothing more than a headache and vague embarrassment. But the people around you wake up with intelligence about your vulnerabilities, evidence of your indiscretions, and power over your future. Machiavelli advised, "Therefore, a prince, so long as he keeps his subjects united and loyal, ought not to mind the reproach of cruelty." Be cruel to your own impulses when alcohol flows. Your temporary desire to connect and confess creates permanent damage to your position. The momentary pleasure of sharing secrets becomes the lasting pain of being exposed. Strategic people drink sparingly or not at all in professional and social situations where stakes matter. They understand that in a world where everything can be recorded, every intoxicated word can become evidence. They choose clarity over connection when their future is on the line. If you must drink, establish iron rules for yourself. Never discuss work. Never reveal personal problems. Never share secrets about others. Never make confessions. Never promise anything. Never argue about politics or controversial topics. Better yet, stay sober while others drink. Watch and learn. Collect information while others give it away. Be the person who remembers everything while others remember nothing. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Clarity is my power. Situation 4. The breaking point. Pressure doesn't build character. It reveals it. And most people discover they have far less character than they imagined. When deadlines converge, expectations mount, and stress accumulates, something inside most people breaks. The professional mask cracks. The confident facade crumbles. And what emerges is often weak, desperate, and perfectly exploitable by anyone who understands human psychology. Stress creates a specific type of psychological vulnerability. Your brain, overwhelmed by threat signals, starts seeking relief through any available outlet. And for most people, that outlet is confession. Under pressure, people admit they're not qualified for their jobs. They reveal they're struggling financially. They confess their relationships are falling apart. They expose that they're barely holding everything together. They believe they're seeking support and understanding. What they're actually doing is providing targeting information to anyone positioned to exploit it. The workplace is a particularly dangerous environment for stress confessions. That moment when you admitted to your colleague that you're overwhelmed by the project? You just created doubt about your competence that will influence promotion decisions. That time you confessed to your boss that you're not sure you can meet the deadline? You just gave them reason to question your future assignments. The most devastating stress confessions happen with people closest to you. You tell family about work struggles. You share with friends your relationship problems. You admit to colleagues your professional inadequacies. Each confession creates a vulnerability that can be weaponized later. And here's the psychological trap. Venting feels like relief. Confession feels like catharsis. Admitting weakness feels like authenticity. Your brain rewards you with a temporary sense of release. But that momentary relief costs you permanent positioning. Your breaking point isn't a moment of authentic connection. It's a moment of tactical exploitation. While you're focused on relieving pressure, others are focused on applying it more effectively. Your stress becomes their opportunity. They learn exactly how much pressure it takes to make you crack. They discover which types of stress trigger confession. They identify the specific circumstances under which you become vulnerable. This information becomes a playbook for manipulating you in the future. Machiavelli observed, It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. When you break under pressure and confess your struggles, you inspire neither fear nor love. You inspire contempt. People lose respect for those who can't handle stress professionally. Your moment of weakness becomes their permanent assessment of your capabilities. That confession you made becomes the story they tell to explain why you're not ready for greater responsibility. The powerful face the same pressures as everyone else. They feel the same stress. They experience the same overwhelm. The difference is how they respond. They process pressure privately. They seek support strategically from people who can't use the information against them. They never confess inadequacy to those who compete with them or have power over them. They understand that appearing stressed is more damaging than actually being stressed. Learn to perform calm even when you feel chaos. Master the art of seeming composed even when you're struggling. Develop the discipline to suffer in silence rather than confess for temporary relief. Pressure is not your enemy. Your response to pressure determines whether it builds you or breaks you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Pressure builds diamonds. Situation 5. The sympathy extraction. Professional manipulators don't attack directly. They appear vulnerable first. They share carefully constructed stories of hardship. They reveal strategic weaknesses designed to trigger your protective instincts. They position themselves as someone who needs saving. And while you're busy feeling like a hero, they're busy extracting every valuable piece of information you possess. The sympathy trap is psychologically sophisticated because it completely reverses the expected power dynamic. Instead of feeling threatened and guarded, you feel protective and open. Instead of maintaining distance, you create intimacy. Instead of hiding vulnerabilities, you share them in solidarity. This is weaponized empathy, and it's devastatingly effective. Real vulnerability is messy, uncomfortable, and inconsistent. It doesn't come with perfect timing or polished delivery. Genuine people struggling don't have perfectly crafted stories that hit all the emotional beats. But performed vulnerability. That's different. It's smooth. It's compelling. It arrives exactly when the manipulator needs something from you. The person telling you the perfect sob story is often the most dangerous predator in the room. Watch for these warning signs. The story is almost too perfectly tragic. They share deep personal information surprisingly quickly. Their vulnerability seems designed to elicit specific responses. They follow emotional revelations with requests. They share struggles but never solutions they're trying. Their problems always require exactly what you have to offer. Your compassion becomes their competitive advantage. Every secret you share to help them becomes intelligence they use against you. Every weakness you reveal in solidarity becomes ammunition for future manipulation. Here's how it works in practice. A colleague shares they're struggling with the same work challenges you face. Feeling understood, you confess your own strategies, concerns, and plans. They now know exactly what you're doing and can either copy it or sabotage it. A friend reveals relationship problems similar to yours. In solidarity, you share intimate details about your own partnership. They now have gossip material and leverage over you. The business world is filled with entrepreneurs who shared their struggles with fellow founders, who turned out to be competitors gathering intelligence. The professional landscape is littered with careers destroyed by people who posed as ments but were actually collecting information to use. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived." Your immediate need to help and connect makes you vulnerable to deception. While you're focused on being a good person, they're focused on being a successful manipulator. Your kindness becomes their weapon. True strength helps without revealing vulnerabilities. It supports without sharing secrets. It shows compassion without showing weakness. You can be kind without being foolish. You can help without harming yourself. When someone shares vulnerability, respond with empathy but maintain boundaries. Offer support but protect your own information. Show compassion but stay alert to patterns of manipulation. And always remember, people who genuinely need help rarely perform their struggles. Real vulnerability doesn't come gift-wrapped with perfect emotional timing. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I help without revealing. Situation 6. The information exchange. Every social group operates on information currency. Gossip isn't just idle conversation. It's an economy where secrets are traded, power is accumulated, and trust is the transaction cost most people pay without realizing. When you participate in gossip, you're not just passing time or bonding with colleagues. You're trading in intelligence. And most people are terrible negotiators in this market. The gossip economy has simple but brutal rules. Information flows upward toward power. Betrayal flows downward toward weakness. The person who collects secrets without sharing them accumulates power. The person who shares secrets without collecting them becomes powerless. Every workplace, friend group, and community has information brokers. You probably know several. They're the people everyone talks to. They seem genuinely interested in your life. They're trustworthy and connected. They know everything about everyone. But what they're actually doing is running an intelligence operation where your secrets are the product and your trust is the overhead cost. Watch how they operate. They ask questions that seem casual but are actually strategic. They share gossip about others to establish reciprocity, making you feel obligated to share back. They position themselves as confidants to multiple people, collecting information from all sides. They never reveal their own vulnerabilities but remember everyone else's. The most dangerous aspect of gossip isn't what you say about others. It's what your participation reveals about you. Every secret you share about someone else proves you can't be trusted with secrets. Every confidence you break advertises your unreliability to everyone watching. Every piece of gossip you spread becomes a case study in your character. People are always evaluating. Would they do this to me? Professional environments are particularly dangerous because gossip feels like team building or venting. You think you're bonding with colleagues by sharing information about others. You're actually demonstrating that you're willing to betray confidences for social acceptance. That person listening sympathetically to your gossip is making notes. This person will sell out anyone for approval. This person values gossip over loyalty. This person can be manipulated through social pressure. Machiavelli observed, "The way men live is so far removed from the way they ought to live that anyone who abandons what is for what should be pursues his downfall rather than his preservation." You think gossip ought to be harmless social bonding. The reality is it's information warfare where your secrets and reliability are being traded like commodities. While you focus on how things should work, others exploit how things actually work. Social interaction is a marketplace for intelligence. Master the economy by becoming a collector rather than a distributor. Listen to everything. People will tell you their secrets voluntarily. Contribute nothing valuable in return. Deflect questions about yourself. Change subjects away from gossip. Build a reputation as someone who listens but doesn't repeat. Watch as others destroy themselves with their own loose tongues while you accumulate information that gives you strategic advantage in every interaction. The most powerful people in any social system are rarely the loudest. They're the ones who know everyone's secrets but share none of their own. Drop this affirmation in the comments: secrets flow to me. Situation 7. The authority trap. When power challenges you unfairly, every instinct in your body screams for justice. You want to defend yourself. You need to prove your worth. You must demonstrate your competence. This instinct feels righteous. It feels like standing up for yourself. It feels like having a spine. This instinct will destroy your career. Authority doesn't want your explanations. Authority wants your submission. Most challenges from people in power aren't actually about the issue they're raising. They're tests disguised as conflicts. They're testing whether you can handle criticism. They're evaluating how you respond under pressure. They're assessing if you can accept feedback without emotional reaction. They're measuring your professionalism under fire. When you respond emotionally, you fail every single test. You confirm their assessment that you're not ready. You prove you lack the maturity for greater responsibility. You demonstrate you can't handle stress at the next level. Your defense becomes your prosecution. Every word you speak to justify yourself becomes evidence of your inability to accept responsibility. Every argument you make proves you lack the wisdom to know when silence serves you better than speech. Here's what authority actually wants to see. Can you absorb criticism without crumbling? Can you accept feedback without arguing? Can you be corrected without becoming defensive? Can you submit to their judgment without needing to prove them wrong? The fairness you demand doesn't exist in power structures. The respect you expect must be earned through results, not demanded through arguments. The understanding you seek will never come from challenging those who control your future. In the real world of organizational power, moral outrage about unfair treatment is irrelevant. The truth of the situation doesn't matter as much as your response to it. Being right doesn't help you if being right gets you fired. Machiavelli wrote, "Politics have no relation to morals." The moral outrage you feel about unfair criticism is irrelevant to your success. Power operates by different rules than justice. Your choice is simple: adapt to these rules or become their victim. Consider what actually happens when you argue with authority. In your mind, you're courageously standing up for truth. In their mind, you're insubordinate and difficult to manage. In your mind, you're providing important context. In their mind, you're making excuses and refusing to take responsibility. You think you're defending your reputation. You're actually destroying it with every word. Smart people respond to authority challenges with strategic compliance followed by exceptional performance. They say, "I understand. I'll address this immediately." Then they prove their worth through results, not rhetoric. They understand that today's unfair criticism can become tomorrow's opportunity if handled correctly. The boss who criticizes you today can become your biggest advocate tomorrow if you respond with maturity and deliver excellent results. But that same boss will never forgive you for making them look wrong or challenging their judgment, even if you were right. Your ego wants vindication. Your future needs strategic silence. Choose wisely. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Results prove everything. Situation 8. The Revenge Revelation. When relationships end in betrayal, you possess nuclear intelligence. You know their secrets. You witnessed their failures. You understand their fears. You can see their vulnerabilities. The temptation to weaponize this information feels like justice. It feels like balancing the scales. It feels like they deserve it. Revenge through revelation is a suicide strategy that destroys you more than your target. Every intimate relationship is a mutual intelligence exchange. You shared your vulnerabilities and they shared theirs. You revealed your fears and they revealed theirs. You trusted them with secrets and they trusted you. When you start revealing their secrets, you're not just attacking them. You're advertising yourself as someone who weaponizes private information. You're proving that trust given to you will be betrayed when the relationship ends. And everyone is watching. Future romantic partners are evaluating whether they can trust you with their vulnerabilities. Potential employers are assessing whether you'll protect confidential information. Friends are questioning whether their secrets are safe with you. Your revenge becomes their warning about your character. The professional world is particularly unforgiving about this. Executives who badmouth former companies find doors closed at new ones. Professionals who reveal client information discover they can't be trusted with new clients. Business partners who expose former associates learn that no one wants to partner with them. The most devastating aspect of revenge revelation isn't the immediate damage to your target. It's the long-term destruction of your reputation for discretion. People learn that you're willing to betray confidences when hurt. Your credibility becomes worthless. Your word means nothing. Consider the actual outcome. You reveal their secrets, they reveal yours. You both look terrible. Mutual destruction doesn't rebuild your reputation. It doesn't heal your wounds. It doesn't move you forward. It just ensures you both stay trapped in the past, locked in a pattern of escalating revelation that hurts you both. Machiavelli advised, severities should be dealt out all at once, so that their suddenness may give less offense. Benefits ought to be handed out drop by drop, so that they may be relished the more. If you must seek revenge, do it through actions that can't be traced to revealed confidences. Build your own success rather than trying to destroy theirs. Move forward rather than staying locked in the past. Maintain your reputation for discretion while finding other paths to peace. Your silence preserves your power for future battles. Your discretion maintains your reputation. Your ability to keep secrets even when relationships end proves you're someone who can be trusted at the highest levels. Professional power players handle betrayal with strategic silence. They don't forget. They don't necessarily forgive. But they don't reveal. They understand that maintained secrets are more powerful than revealed ones. Secrets kept are future leverage if you ever need it. Secrets revealed are weapons you can only use once, and using them destroys your credibility forever. When someone betrays you, the pain is real. The anger is justified. But your response determines whether you'll be defined by this betrayal or strengthened by how you handled it. Discretion, even when it's difficult, builds a reputation that opens doors for decades. Revelation, even when it feels justified, creates a reputation that closes doors permanently. Drop this affirmation in the comments: silence is my revenge. Situation 9. The competence theater. When you feel inadequate or uncertain, your mouth tries to compensate by performing confidence, expertise, and importance. This overcompensation is psychological theater that fools no one and exposes everything. Insecurity creates verbal desperation. You name-drop to seem connected. You over-explain to seem knowledgeable. You interrupt to seem important. You dominate conversations to seem confident. Each behavior broadcasts the opposite of what you intend. Your performance becomes everyone else's evidence of your inadequacy. Watch how insecure people communicate. They preface statements with their credentials, as someone with 15 years of experience. They constantly reference important people they know. When I was talking to the CEO. They over-explain simple concepts to demonstrate expertise. They interrupt others to prove they already know what's being discussed. They need to have the last word on every topic. Every single behavior screams, "I'm terrified you'll discover I don't belong here." True competence doesn't require advertisement. Real expertise doesn't need constant explanation. Genuine confidence doesn't seek validation through verbal performance. The most respected people in any field tend to be the quietest. They let their work speak. They're comfortable being underestimated. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because their results prove everything. Consider the difference. An insecure manager constantly reminds everyone of their authority and achievements. A confident leader asks questions, listens carefully, and speaks only when they have something valuable to add. An insecure expert dominates every conversation with their knowledge. A true expert helps others learn without needing credit. The most dangerous part of competence theater is that it makes you predictable and exploitable. People learn exactly which buttons trigger your need to prove yourself. They discover how to manipulate you into revealing information, making poor decisions, or acting against your interests. A simple challenge to your expertise and you'll over-explain your methodology, revealing competitive advantages. A subtle question about your credentials and you'll share your entire strategy to prove yourself. A quiet doubt about your importance and you'll reveal confidential information to demonstrate your access. Your insecurity becomes their manipulation tool. Machiavelli wrote, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." The danger of appearing incompetent feels overwhelming when you're insecure. But the greater danger is proving your incompetence through desperate overcompensation. Your fear of seeming weak makes you actually weak. Your need to appear confident reveals your lack of confidence. Your performance of expertise proves your lack of expertise. Master performers let their work create their reputation. They're comfortable with others not immediately recognizing their value because they're confident in their ability to demonstrate it when it matters. They can sit in meetings where others take credit without feeling compelled to correct the record because they know the right people already know the truth. They understand that real power doesn't announce itself. Real expertise doesn't need to be performed. Real confidence is quiet. If you're truly competent, let your results speak. If you're still building competence, let your work and learning speak. Either way, stop performing. Start producing. The more you try to convince people of your value through words, the less valuable you appear. The less you need to prove, the more respect you command. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My work speaks louder. Situation 10. The Promise Prison. When facing pressure, demands, or expectations you can't currently meet, your mouth starts writing checks your reality can't cash. Promises feel like solutions because they solve immediate problems without requiring immediate capability. They buy you time. They relieve pressure. They make people happy. They cost nothing up front. But every promise creates a debt that compounds with interest over time. Promise-making is the language of the desperate. It's what people do when they lack present solutions to current problems. Instead of dealing with reality, they create fantasy futures that never materialize. Instead of building actual value, they build false expectations. The psychology of promises is seductive precisely because they cost nothing in the moment. You can promise to change without changing. You can promise to improve without improving. You can promise to deliver without delivering. The payment comes later when credibility is destroyed and trust is permanently broken. Watch how promises destroy relationships, careers, and businesses. The employee who constantly promises to meet deadlines but never does. Eventually, no one believes them and no one relies on them. The romantic partner who always promises to change but never follows through. Eventually, the relationship ends in resentment and mistrust. The entrepreneur who promises features, delivery dates, and results they can't achieve. Eventually, customers leave and investors withdraw. Every unfulfilled promise becomes evidence against your reliability. Every broken commitment proves your word is worthless. Every failed guarantee demonstrates that you prioritize temporary relief over permanent reputation. And promises compound in a particularly destructive way. When you fail to deliver on one promise, you make another promise to fix it. When that fails, you make a bigger promise. The debt keeps growing until your entire reputation is built on a foundation of broken commitments. Machiavelli observed, "He who builds on the people, builds on the mud." Promises are built on hope, which is as unstable as mud. People want to believe your commitments because it solves their problems too. But when promises fail, both builder and foundation collapse together. Here's what happens in the real world. Your boss asks if you can handle the project. You say yes even though you're not sure because saying no feels like admitting weakness. You promise to deliver on time even though the timeline is unrealistic. When you inevitably miss the deadline, you promise to catch up. When you can't catch up, you promise to work weekends. Each promise digs you deeper into a hole of lost credibility. Or in relationships, you promise to be more attentive even though you haven't changed the underlying patterns causing the problem. You promise to stop a behavior even though you haven't addressed why you do it. Each broken promise doesn't just disappoint. It teaches the other person that your word means nothing. Strategic operators make fewer promises and exceed expectations rather than making grand commitments they can't keep. They under-promise and over-deliver. They build reputations for reliability rather than rhetoric. When asked if they can do something, they might say, "I'll do my best and keep you updated on progress." Instead of, "Absolutely, no problem, consider it done." When facing a request they're not sure about, they say, "Let me assess this properly and get back to you with a realistic timeline." Instead of, "Yes, I can definitely make that happen." The difference is profound. One approach builds trust through honest assessment and reliable delivery. The other builds false hope through promises that create resentment when broken. Your word is your most valuable asset. Every promise you make should be treated as a sacred debt. If you're not absolutely certain you can deliver, don't promise. If circumstances might prevent delivery, don't guarantee. If you lack control over the outcome, don't commit. Better to be known as cautious and reliable than enthusiastic and unreliable. Better to surprise people by exceeding conservative estimates than disappoint them by failing to meet optimistic promises. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I under-promise and over-deliver. Your mouth has been betraying you your entire life, and until now, you probably didn't even fully realize it. Every conversation is a potential minefield where one wrong word can destroy years of careful positioning. Every social interaction is a chess game where your words are either strategic moves or fatal blunders. Every casual comment is being filed away by someone who might use it against you later. The 10 situations we've explored aren't rare events that only happen to careless people. They're daily occurrences happening to everyone around you right now. The rage that makes you confess. The success that makes you over-explain. The alcohol that makes you vulnerable. The pressure that makes you break. The sympathy that extracts your secrets. The gossip that trades your trust. The authority that tests your submission. The betrayal that tempts revenge. The insecurity that creates theater. The desperation that makes promises. These psychological traps are universal because they're hardwired into human nature. But the difference between victims and victors isn't intelligence or opportunity. It's understanding that words have permanent consequences and strategic silence has more power than emotional speech. Machiavelli understood what most people never learn. The game of life is won not by those who speak their minds, but by those who control their minds before they speak. Every word you utter either strengthens your position or weakens it. There's no neutral ground. Every silence either protects you or costs you an opportunity. Every decision about what to say and what to withhold shapes your destiny. In a world where everything is recorded, remembered, and potentially weaponized against you, your verbal discipline becomes your most valuable skill. Your ability to speak strategically rather than emotionally determines whether you'll control your destiny or become a victim of your own voice. Look at history's most successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and power players. They weren't the most talkative. They were the most strategic. They spoke when their words could build and stayed silent when their words could destroy. They understood that in the ultimate game of power and influence, your mouth can be your greatest asset or your most dangerous liability. The ancient masters of power all understood this truth. Machiavelli documented it. Sun Tzu warned about it. Marcus Aurelius practiced it. They knew that loose lips don't just sink ships, they sink careers, relationships, reputations, and entire lives. But here's what separates this knowledge from wisdom. Knowing these 10 situations isn't enough. You must develop the self-awareness to recognize when you're entering one of these traps in real time. You must build the discipline to stop yourself before the words leave your mouth. You must create systems that protect you from your own impulses. Here's your action plan moving forward. First, identify your personal trigger situations. Which of these 10 scenarios gets you most often? Are you someone who explodes in anger? Do you overshare when you succeed? Does alcohol loosen your tongue? Does pressure make you confess? Know your weakness so you can defend against it. Second, create a 3-second rule. Before responding in any emotionally charged situation, pause for 3 seconds. Breathe. Ask yourself, will these words serve my long-term interests or just my short-term emotions? 3 seconds can save 3 years of regret. Third, develop strategic relationships where you can share safely. Find mentors outside your competitive sphere. Build friendships with people who have no reason to exploit your vulnerabilities. Create spaces where you can process emotions and thoughts without risking your position. Everyone needs to vent. Make sure you're venting to people who can't weaponize it. Fourth, practice the art of strategic ambiguity. When asked direct questions that could expose you, master the art of answering without revealing. Politicians do this constantly. It's one of their few genuinely useful skills. You can be warm, engaging, and conversational without actually sharing anything that matters. Fifth, build a reputation for discretion starting today. When others gossip, don't participate. When others confess, don't reciprocate. When others promise, stay realistic. Your reputation for keeping secrets and keeping your word becomes your greatest asset. People trust you with bigger opportunities because they know you won't squander them through careless speech. Remember these final truths, asterisk. Words spoken can never be retrieved. Once they leave your mouth, they exist independently of your intention. They can be misunderstood, recorded, edited, and shared. You lose all control the moment you speak. Your silence cannot be quoted against you. It cannot be taken out of context. It cannot be recorded and shared. It cannot be used as evidence. Silence is the ultimate protection. But strategic silence isn't the same as weakness. It's not about being timid or passive. It's about being intentional. It's about speaking when your words carry weight and staying quiet when your words create risk. The truly powerful understand this distinction. They can be friendly without being revealing. They can be engaged without being vulnerable. They can be present without being exposed. The choice you face right now is stark and simple asterisk. Will you continue letting your mouth sabotage your success, destroy your relationships, and hand your enemies the weapons they need to defeat you? Or will you join the ranks of those who understand that true power whispers while weakness shouts? Will you keep feeding intelligence to your competitors, ammunition to your enemies, and evidence to those who wish you harm through careless conversation? Or will you master the ancient art of strategic communication that has elevated the wise and protected the powerful throughout history? Your words will either build your empire or become the tools others use to destroy it. Every conversation from this moment forward is a choice between strength and weakness, between strategy and impulse, between building and destroying. The decision you make right now, in this moment, will determine which path your life follows. Machiavelli's dark warning echoes across centuries. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are. Control what people see by controlling what you say. Let your actions reveal your character. Let your results demonstrate your competence. Let your consistency prove your reliability. But guard your words like the precious, dangerous, powerful tools they are. In a world full of people who cannot control their tongues, the person who masters their mouth masters their destiny. If this revelation opened your eyes to how your own words have been used against you, if you now see the invisible traps that have been destroying your progress, if you're ready to join the ranks of the strategically silent, subscribe now. In upcoming videos, we'll explore more insights into the dark psychology of power and manipulation. You'll learn how to read people's true intentions, how to protect yourself from psychological manipulation, how to build influence without creating enemies, and how to recognize when you're being played before it's too late. Your future self will thank you for learning these lessons before they cost you everything that matters. The masters of power throughout history all learned these truths. The only question is whether you'll learn them through wisdom or through painful experience. Choose wisdom. Choose strategy. Choose silence over speech until you're certain your words serve your interests. Remember, I speak only to win. Now go forward and let your actions speak louder than your words ever could.